Daniel almost walked past the cafe, telling himself he was just tired from the drive and that stopping was a mistake, but something pulled him inside anyway, and the moment the warm air and low music wrapped around him, he felt the weight of coming back to a town he once ran from, a town that still knew his name even if he pretended not to know it anymore. And as he stood in line staring at the menu without reading it, memories moved faster than his thoughts, late nights, unfinished dreams. Promises he never said out loud, until a familiar voice spoke his name from behind him, calm and clear, and when he turned, there she was, Emily, standing only a few steps away with the same steady eyes but a different quiet strength in her face, and for a second the world narrowed to just the two of them, the noise fading, the years collapsing into one breathless moment. And he realized he had imagined this meeting 100 times but never expected it to feel so real, so grounded, and she smiled, not surprised but not prepared either, and said it was good to see him, and he answered with the truth instead of a practiced line, telling her he was only back for a short time, and they stood there awkwardly but not uncomfortably, as if both were afraid that moving too fast would break something fragile, and when she studied him closely and said, "You've really grown up," the words landed differently than he expected, not like praise or judgment but like recognition, and for years he had avoided that kind of look, the kind that saw him clearly, but this time he didn't drop his eyes or laugh it off, he stayed still and met her gaze, letting her see the man he had become, shaped by distance, failure, and quiet determination, and in that simple exchange something shifted, something unspoken but powerful, because she noticed it too, the way he stood straighter, the way his voice didn't rush, the way he no longer seemed like someone trying to escape his own life, and the silence between them stretched but didn't hurt, it invited, and when he suggested they sit or walk, it wasn't out of politeness but a genuine wish to stay in that moment a little longer, knowing that whatever happened next could reopen doors he once closed without understanding why. And as they stepped outside together into the cool air, Daniel felt a mix of nerves and calm, realizing that this meeting wasn't about the past alone, but about the courage it took to face someone who once mattered deeply and not hide anymore. And he didn't know where the conversation would lead, or if it would lead anywhere at all, but for the first time since coming back, he felt present, fully there, ready to walk forward instead of away. They walked side by side down the familiar street, not too close yet not distant, letting the rhythm of their steps guide the talk as Daniel noticed how the town felt smaller than his memory but heavier with meaning, every corner carrying a piece of who he used to be, and Emily spoke first, asking about his life in Seattle, and he answered honestly but briefly, telling her about long workdays, rented apartments, and the quiet pride of building something on his own, while she shared how she stayed behind, choosing stability over escape, learning to be strong in a place that never stopped reminding her of the past, and their words moved fast but carefully, skipping the easy jokes and heading straight for truth. And as they passed the old bookstore and the diner where they once spent late nights dreaming too big, the silence between sentences grew deeper, filled with things they both remembered but didn't name, and Daniel felt the urge to explain everything he failed to say years ago, yet held back, knowing timing mattered now more than regret. And when they reached the park, the sounds of laughter and movement felt distant, like a life happening beside them instead of around them, and Emily admitted she used to think about him when the town felt too quiet, wondering what kind of man he was becoming, and the confession hit him harder than expected, pushing him to admit he thought of her too, not as a memory frozen in time but as a question he never answered. And they stopped near the path where their walks once ended with promises neither understood, and Emily looked at him with open honesty, saying that leaving without clarity hurt more than distance ever could, and Daniel accepted it without defense, feeling the weight of growth and owning his past instead of reshaping it. And as they stood there, neither reaching out nor stepping away, the connection between them felt changed but alive, built now on shared silence instead of youthful hope, and he realized this meeting was not about fixing what was broken but about seeing if something real could exist in the present. And when Emily said she had learned to stand on her own, he saw both strength and caution in her eyes, understanding that whatever came next would not be simple or rushed. And as the afternoon light shifted, Daniel felt the quiet tension of choice, knowing they were walking a line between comfort and risk, and that every step forward asked whether they were brave enough to face what still lingered between them. They ended up on the old bench under the oak tree, the one carved with initials that had once meant everything, and Daniel felt the rough wood beneath his hands as memories flooded back, summer nights, whispered secrets, laughter that felt endless, and he spoke before thinking, admitting he had been scared back then, scared of being too small, too unsure, too unready for someone like Emily, and she turned toward him, listening, her eyes wide but patient, and he told her how he left not because he didn't care, but because he didn't know how to stay without failing, how he thought running would protect both of them from disappointment, and Emily's breath was slow, quiet, carrying both hurt and understanding as she said she wished he had trusted her, that she could have decided for herself what mattered, and Daniel nodded. Feeling the weight of lost years settle in his chest, yet lighter somehow because the truth was out, spoken aloud instead of swallowed like it had been for so long, and they stared at each other, searching for the boy and girl who had been so close but never fully brave, and then at the men and women they had become, noticing the lines of experience on their faces, the steadiness in their voices, the subtle ways time had shaped them without breaking them, and Emily whispered that he had grown up, not just in age but in being, in patience, in the ability to face life without running, and Daniel felt gratitude more than pride, realizing she saw him as he wanted to be seen, fully and honestly, and as their hands rested near each other on the bench, the space between them charged with possibility yet careful, he thought about all the times he had imagined this moment, the apologies he had rehearsed, the confessions he had dreamed of saying, and now they were here, speaking simply but profoundly, each word carrying weight, each pause filled with meaning, and when Emily stood, saying she should go, Daniel rose too, both aware this wasn't just a casual goodbye, that something important had shifted in the air between them, and as they walked slowly toward her car, the quiet stretched, filled with unspoken feelings, lingering questions, and the hope that what was once lost might be found again, though neither could predict when or how, and the tension of possibility hummed softly, wrapping them in the fragile, thrilling uncertainty of rediscovery. At her car, the air felt heavier than the road, charged with words they both wanted to say but didn't know how to start, and Emily paused at the door, fingers on the handle, glancing at Daniel with a mix of caution and curiosity, admitting softly that she was glad they had talked, even if it didn't promise anything, and Daniel nodded, feeling a sudden surge of honesty he had held back for years, telling her that he didn't know what the future held, but if there was a chance, he wanted to know her again, not as the people they once were, but as who they had become, and for a moment, silence stretched between them like a bridge too fragile to cross yet too tempting to ignore, and Emily looked at him long and steadily, seeing not only the man who had returned but the man who had grown through absence, through mistakes, through learning to stand on his own, and then she smiled, a real, warm smile that held both the past and possibility, acknowledging the truth in his words without promise or fear, and she murmured maybe, a word that carried more weight than any certainty, signaling openness, curiosity, and a willingness to explore the unknown, and Daniel felt a rush of relief, hope, and quiet longing, realizing that for once, he had faced her eyes fully, without turning away, without hiding, and in that moment, something shifted, a delicate understanding that connection could exist again if nurtured, that attraction could be gentle and patient, and as she finally started the car and didn't drive away immediately, he stood there, watching, feeling the strange comfort of anticipation mixed with restraint, knowing that what they had shared that afternoon was not closure but a beginning, a soft, tender chance to rebuild, and the hum of the engine seemed to echo the beat of his heart as the car slowly pulled away, leaving him on the curb with the realization that sometimes courage isn't grand gestures or words shouted across years but simple acts of presence, honesty, and not looking away when it mattered most. And as he watched her disappear down the road, he felt something rare and powerful, hope unburdened by expectation, warmth unclouded by regret, and the quiet promise that what started today could unfold gently, beautifully, if they both chose to step forward without fear.